In a world crying out for a top 10 show, John Roca and Matt Nost are here. So grab your assigned seat, sit back, and enjoy this week's Top 10. Brought to you by the Schmoes Know Network. Take it away, boys.
Welcome, everybody, to... We haven't done one of these in a while. The recap and review of the Top 10 show. We're going to do Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, but it's been a while since we've done one of these.
True. You are.
Oh, hi, I'm John Roca.
I am Matt Nost, and for those that just downloaded and never listened to this is a spoiler-heavy review.
Spoiler heavy.
We are going to talk about the film, so if you haven't seen the film or you don't mind us telling you exactly what goes on in that film, then please listen ahead. But thank you for the download. Otherwise, thank you for the listen. Thank you for everything.
Yes.
You know, just to get it out of the way. Thank you for everything. You're amazing, and I love you. Tip of the cap. Literally tip to. I actually doffed my cap.
You did. You doffed the cap.
Let me tip my cap there. Yeah. So, what do you think, John? John, what do you think?
Well, I wrote my opinions on Facebook, and I posted them on Twitter, but I didn't go in depth, so it wasn't spoiler heavy. So I can tell you this: I enjoyed my experience in the theater, but I still felt there were mucho plot issues, and I had some problems with the motivation of the characters.
Oh, you mean Batman?
Overall, well, Batman and Superman.
Superman, I was more forgiving of his character motivations. Mm-hmm. Batman's, I was not.
You were not.
As a fan of Batman, it's like I don't understand why he just went from 0 to 60.
Yeah, on Superman.
For
right.
Why? Okay, you lost some employees, sure, but now you want to basically kill a guy. Like I understand this plays into who Batman is, but the way you're going about it doesn't make sense for Batman.
Well, if you strip it down, how does Batman want to kill Superman but doesn't want to kill the Joker? That doesn't make sense if you look at the mythology of the character.
But look, Batman has guns in this film, and this
is a whole different Batman.
Yeah, he's firing that's when I was watching, and I was like, you know what? Listen, I understand that I applauded you, Zack Snyder, for doing this with Superman, the snapping Zod's neck.
You did,
but Superman was put in a position where it was basically Zod laser beams a young family to death.
Yeah.
Or I kill him, and look at all the destruction he's already done. So you're boxing me into a corner.
Right.
And it's not like he went out of his way, whereas Batman is just like, fuck it, the gun is the easiest way.
Yeah.
Let's be perfectly honest. And just out of
kills.
nowhere.
Batman kills in this movie.
Yeah, a lot.
No one's making a huge deal out of it. Batman kills in this movie. It's just as shocking as Superman breaking Zod's neck in Man of Steel. It's just as shocking. Superman also is not known for killing.
Yeah.
So,
I believe the Superman, like I just said.
Right.
Whereas the Batman, it just seemed easy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need to cram action in. So instead of having Batman use his intellect, we're just going to have him use brute force.
Yeah.
And that's before, like, you could point to older Batmans and be like, oh, he had, like, in the Keaton ones, guns popped out. But it's like, yeah, that shot out a doorway so the Batmobile could escape.
Exactly.
He was always
killing
like,
people.
exactly. If he had the guns, it was to facilitate him thwarting somebody leaving or trying to get himself out of a situation. But it wasn't to hurt anybody or kill anyone.
And there are other situations where he avoided bullets or avoided bombs that end up killing other people, but that's not his responsibility.
Yeah,
because he's avoiding getting hurt himself. You know, it's not whatever happens with the bomb after he dodges away from it is not necessarily his responsibility. So it's just that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy the motivation that the Lex could trick Superman into going after Batman. I didn't buy any of that bullshit, like sending him, or sending the stuff to Bruce Wayne as well, Ben Affleck's character, right, when he's looking at it, going oh, you let your family die, all that, with that the Scoot McNairy character was sending the checks back, all that stuff. It was just to me, it all seemed kind of haphazard at times. And the Senator stuff with Holly Hunter seemed really, really weird.
It made no sense.
Yeah, is she not? Is she a good or bad?
And the way Luthor talked to her, I thought at one point that it was his mom.
Yeah.
because they're in the
Yeah, that's a
study,
good
and he
point,
was
yeah.
like, "Do you think Dad would care if I changed this?" And be like, "Hold on, does that mean she's your mom, or did she know your dad so well that you would talk about your dad as Dad in front
Yeah.
of her, or is that one of your care?" Fuck it, we're not going to explain that because we have 17 other storylines to fit into this thing.
Well, I think that's my general consensus about the movie is that the characters and their motivations were not fleshed out enough to have the audience connect. Now, that being said, it's the highest grossing opening weekend for any superhero movie ever worldwide. 420 million.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Madness, man.
It seems like they have a new statistic every
400
week
million.
for
Yeah.
they just rephrase it a certain way, and now they have the most.
It's the most on a Thursday at 2 p.m.
Honestly, yeah, in
Before
China,
Easter.
we had the biggest Chinese opening. Although, I'm sure this got an opening in China.
It did.
Yeah.
It opened everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere waiting for it to open. And so that's what's so amazing about the film.
I felt bad for
170.
Superman
Yeah, okay.
just because
He's his afterthought.
he is.
In
He's
his
an
own
afterthought.
movie.
And Batman, once he gets the top billing and it's Batman versus Superman, Batman now just stole this movie from you.
Yep.
And I also hated that of we get another fucking origin story for Batman when we don't need it.
We really don't.
Especially when you're going to introduce all these other characters and you're not going to give them a backstory.
Right.
At least not right now.
Yeah.
But like Wonder Woman shows up and it's perfect. Here's this old photograph of you.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? We'll figure that out later. Let's propel this current storyline along.
Yeah.
They easily could have done that just a larger way with Batman instead of the dream sequences, which is no warning about, and you have to figure out literally 5 minutes into it going, okay, this is clearly a dream because Batman is now levitating because bats are flying around him. But then the only dream sequence now, after seeing the entire breadth of the movie, is the Superman one. That one should have stayed. You should have cut the others.
Yeah.
You don't fucking need the others.
Right.
It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. We can cut out.
Also, because that dream sequence has the Flash coming in as a vision.
Yeah.
That's supposed to lead in to have something to do with the Justice League movie. So that's the one nightmare sequence that they should have kept.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely agree with you. I mean, I enjoyed the opening of him being levitated by the bats. It's a great visual.
It is. It's a gorgeous visual, but
Right, but it doesn't
do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
Plus, I don't need another fucking origin story.
Right.
I don't.
It was so quick, though. I mean, it wasn't
true.
dragged out, which was good. I mean, it's good, but like you're right. Those of us who've seen enough of these are exhausted. Like, there's going to be another Spider-Man origin story, and you're like, oh, not this again, and we're just exhausted.
Yeah,
And I think we should just do them. No,
I think at this point, you just start the character, and then, hey, we find out later on that Bruce Wayne's parents got killed. Maybe we do a flashback to it.
Flashback would have been great. That
Or
would have
something
been
like that,
better.
as opposed to, I don't need the opening 10 minutes now of every fucking Batman reboot to be this shit.
But they're essentially rebooting Batman because Thomas Wayne does not attack the guy who shoots them.
That's the first thing I thought of.
That was you're like, this is a whole different Batman.
And he looks like he works with Teamsters.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a billionaire.
No, he doesn't.
He's, that bigger actor that was in Watchmen.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
There you go.
Yeah.
The American Javier Bardem. That's kind of what he is.
Actually very good.
And he's got that mustache, and he's walking through the brutal thing though that I thought was where the gun catches the mom underneath the pearls.
Pearls.
He shot her fucking head off.
Yeah, he did.
That's so goddamn gruesome.
Right.
If you're that close, the pearl necklace clasped behind the hammer for the gun, and then once you fire, and the way she fell back, so he shot like top of her neck where it joins the bottom of her skull. So you're blowing out all that and the back of her brains.
Yeah. So there's no way her eye is like dilating on the ground.
Fucking in front of the kid.
Right.
Jesus Christ. I loved early on, so when Bruce Wayne runs up and saves the little kid,
Yeah.
and the little kid, he's like, first off, it's really weird because he turns instantly calm to everything's fine. You're fine. You're fine. And it seems so jarring, but he's like, let's find your mom. Where's your mom? And she points up.
Yeah.
And in the theater, I was like, what? She's on the 40th floor? What the fuck are you doing on the street? Like, this just happened. Why are you out on this busy street and your mom is 40 floors up where it just got destroyed?
Well, I imagine the daycare is usually on the bottom floor, but
Is it? I don't know.
Most corporations have the daycare on the bottom floor, but
I knew they had a daycare.
you
but
make
at
a
the same time,
valid point. You make a valid point. It could be that why is she up there and her down here? It's so strange.
I loved they peppered in so many things. Like after the last one, everybody criticized if Batman or if Superman fights Zod in this area, you're going to kill so many people. And they just not subtly hammered home. This area is evacuated. There's nobody around. And like they're in the financial district, and Anderson Cooper, literally does a fucking it's VO off screen of it's at nighttime, thankfully in the financial district, so nobody's really down there. And you're like, I was watching, it was like you got cleaning crews, you got security crews,
nobody's
you got you still have tons of people down there. But they land on Rikers Island later, and some military official like it's completely desolate. There's nobody there. Trust me, it's kind of like all right. Guys, they did it one other time. I can't think of what it was, but it was in the theater going, fucking, I understand. Snyder, you took a lot of criticism the last movie, but this isn't even subtle.
Such a great mea culpa. The whole film is a great mea culpa.
Just fucking so much. Did you like Lex?
No, I absolutely hated Lex.
Really? He could be my favorite part.
So many people have said this, that they enjoyed it, and then so many people absolutely fucking hated him. I hated him because that's not the Lex Luthor I know.
Yeah.
So it may just be a generational thing. Like
I think it's just I was happy he had a take.
So a very strong choice.
Yeah, he made a choice.
Yeah, he did,
and he exercised that choice, like in the public speech he had to give. And that Luthor, what was his actual name? Because it's not Lex. That was his dad.
Yeah, Alexander's his name.
Okay. But that where his mind kind of spun off, and he had a point that he was trying to get to.
Yeah.
But he just didn't like the way that he was getting there. Eventually, he was just like, "And it's over. Okay, I don't care. I don't need to talk to you peons."
Right.
Kind of thing. I was happy he had a take. I was just so bored with Affleck.
You didn't like Affleck's Batman?
No.
Wow.
Because I didn't understand his motivation. So it made me check out entirely from that Batman.
Gotcha.
I didn't care.
Okay. I liked Jeremy Irons' Alfred. That was fantastic. That's one of the best Alfreds I've ever seen. I liked the rapport he had with Affleck.
Okay. And
that he was like, it was the same. He was the smart ass, confident Alfred that's my favorite version of Alfred. The mealy mouthed, I'm not sure what to do Alfred. I always hate those Alfreds because there's no way that raised Bruce Wayne. To allow him to be this powerful guy and to help him on his mission. And I think that's why I always like a smarter, stronger Alfred. It's just always better, in my opinion, of the character. So I enjoyed him in that. I liked Affleck's Batman. I didn't, once again, I don't think anyone's ever nailed Bruce Wayne, and I don't know if anybody ever will. Bruce Wayne is supposed to be a very charismatic billionaire that conveys he doesn't care. It's effortless.
Yeah.
Right.
When you see him as a billionaire, he is the encapsulation of the stereotype of a billionaire.
Exactly.
But in a non-offensive, like, I want to punch this guy in the mouth.
Right.
More in a, fuck, I want to be that guy.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's impressive to do. Yeah. I don't know that you can.
It's very difficult. I thought Clooney would have the best shot, and he was not good in it. So.
I think if you brought Clooney back now, if you had him do Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
As this older...
Shit.
Because I don't think I like that Affleck was beefy. I love that when they did the CrossFit. Batman just starts doing CrossFit. It literally turned into Rocky IV as they're juxtaposing. Lex is doing his fucking like real world with all the technology, and then he's just over here in a barn like bench pressing fucking wagons and shit. I was like, okay, Batman does, it's like the sledgehammer to the huge tire and CrossFit. I wonder if they paid for that to be
sled. Probably.
Yeah.
I recognize all those exercises.
Oh yeah, you do CrossFit.
Yeah. So it's I think the majority of the film for me, and listen, like I said, I still enjoyed my experience, but you can enjoy experience and still understand the problems.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like they set up a lot of stuff that the the end follow through wasn't always great. Like the fight between Batman and Superman, I actually thought was great. The actual choreography of the fight, the shifts in momentum. But then the end when he's like, "Why'd you say Martha?" Why?
Yeah.
Do you think he's not going to know?
Exactly. It's Batman. Batman knows everything about...
He's a detective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now that he has all Luthor's information...
He would logically have all of Clark Kent's information.
He would have the best of all worlds then. Everything Luthor has and everything he has, which means he's poured through those files.
Absolutely.
He knows everything. I just didn't like the take on Batman.
Okay.
Because he does. He does that switch. Why did Batman finally show up and go, tonight is the night that I have to do this?
Right.
And then Luthor knew that he would be at the bottom of that bat signal waiting for a fight from Superman. So how did Luthor know that? Yeah. And then how did Luthor specifically manipulate... So, I mean, through...
Having
what's her name?
Martha Kent.
Yeah.
Kidnapped. And have her waiting.
When Superman is supposed to have the power to hear every heart beating in the world at one time. Like, he just can zone in on whoever he wants to. It's one of his powers.
Yeah, you would think he'd know his mother's being kidnapped.
That would be on his priority list.
Yeah.
Because I like that in the movie, they had Lois Lane of Luthor going, well, it seems like every time you're in danger, this guy shows up.
Right? So there are good parts to the movie that are inventive and address issues that people have had with these superheroes and their mythologies for quite some time.
But
the problem is at the end, it wasn't 100%. And if you have to bend over backwards to explain the film to me, it doesn't make it better. And it doesn't make me an idiot for not getting it at all.
No,
and I think some people are explaining it that way, and I think that's a mistake.
The 30% or whatever it has on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate, but it's accurate because, like, it's a disappointing film because you know what superhero movies can't attain.
Right.
But you also know it's DC, so your expectations, if Nolan isn't helming it, my expectations for DC are pretty much null and void.
Right.
But now you're bringing in all these characters, and one the Nolan Batman just had, so you know how to work with this character, and you just kind of waste it, just so implodedly too.
Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours of. By the end, it was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't overall care. I don't hate the movie, but I just
neither do I.
For having all this action and they traverse so much storyline, for me to just walk away indifferent, you fucked up.
Okay. I think there's still, for me, I think there are still a lot of positives within the film that save the film for me overall. But like I've said, you still see the problems that, and I completely understand and respect why you feel the way you feel. Like, I get it. I can see exactly why you would. I'm going to go see it again to see because I think there were a lot of things that I actually enjoyed visually about the film. And I think that's where the disconnect is for me. Visually, I think it's a fantastic film. But story-wise, plot-wise, character development-wise, I think it suffers a lot. And I think that's what really is the crux for you, what you're having issues with throughout the whole film, is like you don't like the portrayals of some of the characters, and
it just doesn't make
motivations.
sense.
Right?
Yeah. Well, as you're watching and being like, this violates so much of the character, more so than Superman just snapping the neck. I realize that he doesn't kill, and that's what makes him.
Right.
Once again, he was put into a position where it was the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Whereas with Batman, it just seemed laziness.
Yeah, and the whole conspiracy of trying to set up Superman, like Luthor is like trying to set up Superman by having these little bullets in Africa, and it just seems so far-reaching that unnecessary.
Why do we need to do it?
Yeah,
it didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Right. Did you like? Do you still like Henry Cavill as a Superman? Do you still like his Superman, his portrayal?
I do like his. I wish that this was a Superman versus Batman movie,
right?
And we scaled back the Batman just because, obviously, as I've said numerous times now, I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
Because I felt bad by the end of it. It's like, wow, he was so underutilized. I mean, think about it. As much as I don't like Superman, he is one of the more intriguing because of his power skill set.
Yeah.
You could have a shit ton of fun with this guy.
Yeah.
And just at the end of the movie going, hey, he wasn't in it a whole hell of a lot.
Well, and the thing is, you take the bones of you. Well, I don't know if you want to say that. I guess you can. You take the bones of The Dark Knight Returns, which is what they did. They took a lot of the storyline from Dark Knight Returns, and they tried to shoehorn it into a different construct, like a different premise, different parameters. They tried to shove the story into a different thing. It's like trying to put the wrong mattress box inside a mattress frame. It just doesn't fit. It didn't quite fit. I mean, you get it. It's still serviceable, but it doesn't quite fit, and that's what I had some problems with. I saw The Dark Knight Returns, so like the stuff with the nuclear bomb, that's in Dark Knight Returns where he's like all emaciated.
Yeah.
That was great to see on film.
It was. Him in space.
Right.
As I've seen him in the comic books where it's just like, fuck, Superman might be dead.
Right. But in the graphic novel, he's in the Corto Maltese trying to stop a nuclear weapon from exploding onto an island and killing people. In this, he's been shot. The nuclear weapon is shot at him directly, which is one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen on film. I remember leaning over to my friend who also enjoyed it, Shannon McClung, who was enjoying it, and I said to him, don't they care about nuclear winter, nuclear fallout? Like, you can't just, if they missed or if they knocked it away or Doomsday knocked it away, that could go back into the earth and destroy cities for fucking hundreds of miles. And so it doesn't make any sense to just haphazardly shoot a nuclear weapon at two superpowered meta humans up in the air, or meta, whatever you want to call them, up in the air, because you don't know what's going to happen. It seems such an irresponsible decision that I was so surprised that they went with that plot line in the movie.
Well, because they said, like, oh, it's out of harm's range. Like, they've flown out of the ionosphere, so now we can detonate it up. I'm not saying it was a good choice.
Right.
I'm just
You're explaining the logic.
Yeah, they tried to, like, through some general was like, oh, it's fine now. Yeah. And you're like, okay, just fire the fucking nuke.
But like I've said in my review on, like I said, I liked Amy Adams. I thought she did a great job in her character as Lois Lane.
I believe that love story.
Absolutely.
Which is weird because I never believed the Chris Reeves.
Oh, Margot Kidder one?
Yeah, I just never bought into them having chemistry.
Really?
Okay. It's mostly just her.
I disagree.
Him,
with you
I get.
100%.
He's got charm. Her, she was like the fact that she eventually went bananas.
In real life.
Yeah. She always had that as a kid. She always seemed like she'd be more of like a villainess or something, or a villain, as opposed to the heroine.
But Amy, go ahead.
Did you think that even though it wasn't announced and it wasn't coming, but Aquaman should have gotten the spear and handed it to him? There's an easy way to introduce him.
Oh, the Krypton spear.
Yeah.
I absolutely thought that was the Kryptonite spear, rather. I absolutely thought that was going to happen.
Because they showed him underwater, whereas like the Flash they just showed and Cyborg through clips, through grainy video clips.
Right.
But Aquaman they had good video of, so when it came up later on and she couldn't get to it, I thought he would, because of the disturbance of everything that was going on,
absolutely
get sucked in. We just introduced him. Now we only have to find two characters in the next film.
Right.
Hey, you stick around after we kick Doomsday's ass. We got to talk.
Right. I thought that would have been. I actually thought that was going to happen as I was watching the film.
So did I. I was like, oh, okay, he'll come up and give it to him.
Yeah.
And then Soups went down and got it.
Right.
Like, oh, okay.
But it had to be about him sacrificing himself, because I guess that was the lead into. That's the thing, they shoved in Dark Knight Returns, the death of Superman. They shoved in so many stories, they're almost disjointed, because there's a reason.
They're 100% disjointed.
Yeah, there's a reason those stories work separately on their own, because the construct that you've put them in lay the groundwork for why those great events happen within those films.
Especially from Batman's perspective, because in Dark Knight, you see the reason why he turns on Superman, and it makes sense from both their sides.
Right.
Whereas in this, I agreed with Superman.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman, I was like, dude, you're flipping out. You're Lex Luthor right now. Like, I understand that the whole, if there's even a 1% chance that he could turn on us, then we need to have. But Batman wouldn't go about trying to kill him. He would just create the thing that would take him down if the need ever arose, as opposed to just showing up going, it's fucking time. We're doing this now.
And wouldn't he do his investigation to find out that he's being set up, that Clark's being set up, or the Superman's being set up by Lex Luthor? Like, that's the thing. Like, he set this whole, because the one or two events, it was enough is enough for him, right? And I thought one of the things that was missing in the film, which I commented on too, is like, I didn't like the fact that every single superhero saving thing that Superman did was portrayed in such a negative light. You know?
Oh, yeah, that there was collateral damage every time he saved.
Sure.
200 villagers, one person died.
Right. Or like, he's saving the rocket, but because that whole rocket has to blow up. He saves whoever's in the top pod and the fuel. Like, all of it seems a little weird. Like, it's not even done with any happiness. Like, it's done in this darkness and sadness. And then when he goes and saves the kid in Mexico from the burning building, these people touch him like he's a god. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you would do, though. Watching that scene, that seemed very real to me.
But it didn't seem that vibe of like respect and adoration. It felt like a cult. And that's what I thought was the vibe that I didn't appreciate. And then when the woman is like on the flood and on the top of the roof of the house, and she's reaching to him, and he's just in the air.
He's in a godlike
Why
pose.
aren't you going down there and helping them? Yeah, all of it seemed so kind of. Just had this vibe of negativity to it that I could never like. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, he should be revered. He should be in a similar thing. Because if we're seeing it through, if Batman is watching it, then we're seeing it through his prism. That's understandable. But if we're watching it as an audience, you need to present Superman as a different way.
But that's also what doesn't make sense, because Batman viewing this, he should be able to take a step back and go, I understand why it happened, and I'm thankful that you did it. We just got to figure out a different way to do this in the future.
That's a great point, Matt.
Yeah. Batman will be able to detach because he's doing the same thing, and sometimes there is collateral damage in this.
Right.
And you can't stop Zod because he put his ship down here, and you couldn't influence that. Fuck it, I get it.
Well, yeah, and it's ironic because he walks by that bat outfit of his that has the Joker's writing on it.
Subtle, by the way. Subtle.
Which is
ha ha, and whatever the fuck it said below that, and I was like, okay.
Which is a reference to Death in the Family, which was this once again showrunning another storyline from out of the book. But it's the death of Robin, the original death of Robin, and Batman couldn't save him. And so why should he vilify Superman when he's got his own shit from when he was starting out as a hero and making mistakes? And I think not enough people, and there was no conversation in the film about this, and in Man of Steel either, which I think would solve so much to have the conversation. He's just starting out as a hero. He's gonna make mistakes. He's the first one doing this. He doesn't know how to do this at his level. Batman, obviously, in this universe now, apparently Batman's been this Batman for quite some time. Right, exactly. But in Metropolis, so... Are we getting to the point? All right.
Yeah, probably.
What did you think about Wonder Woman?
I thought it was actually, that was handled relatively well.
You did?
Well, just for I know you're going to spend more time on it with her own and everything else.
Yeah.
So you don't need to give me the backstory. It's fine. She can show up to kick ass because she was in Eastern Europe in 1914 with some freedom fighters or whatever that photo was.
1918, yeah.
Yeah, and how is that the only photo of her? And but how does she have money? She goes to an ATM.
Yeah.
What job does she have? What bank does she bank with?
We don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
But the thing is this, if you... I didn't like her portrayal. I don't like Gal Gadot as an actress 100%. I think she's kind of surface. I don't think there's levels. But it may just also be the fact that I think Wonder Woman should look differently and be different. Like, to me, in my opinion, she's a lot stronger. She's a lot more... She's not concerned with being sexy. That isn't the Wonder Woman I know. I understand. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a negative towards Gal's portrayal. That's what they wanted to show. Great. A lot of people enjoy her. But I think people were just happy to see a Wonder Woman on screen at that level.
Yeah.
And because maybe they weren't enjoying the film 1,000% either. So to see her pop up like that is like, oh, yes, thank God. Yes. A real hero with no angst, no darkness, no bullshit, just wanting to fight.
Yeah. And has a backstory where she's done this before.
Yes.
And
she's a heroine before.
Yeah. And she's picking the same side that we're on as an audience.
Exactly.
So she's with us.
Right. But I didn't understand some of the stuff with her too. Like, because if you're going to say I stopped being a superhero years ago, I stopped doing this like 40 years ago, whatever. So that means you didn't interfere in Vietnam, you didn't interfere in all these other areas that through the history of the world that you could have interfered and helped a lot. But you're still going to hang around Metropolis or and just
wherever you've been,
and just kind of be near Superman, be near another hero who's doing it. Like, why would you be hanging out if you're removing yourself and you don't want to participate? Why are you hanging out with the situation? Why are you going to Lex Luthor's house? Why are you taking his thing from him?
Yeah, I don't know that you could be a secret because governments knew about you in the past,
right?
And probably figured out that you're basically an immortal.
Yeah.
So they would hand that down as a state secret. Exactly. Hey, there's an immortal walking the earth. She's hot.
Yeah.
Can't miss her. Walks into a room, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
But once again, compared to Batman, I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, it sucks they wasted Doomsday.
They really did.
Yeah, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It's just to set up Luthor as a greater foil.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's also to set up possibly Apocalypse, which is what they're saying now because of him saying the bell can't be unrung when he had that confrontation with Batman at the end. So, yeah. So, I mean, I would say, would you say go see it? Would you say tell people to go see it? Or would you say no?
I mean, if you're a real fan of superhero films, you're already going to see it.
Probably, yes.
Because it deals with the biggest names.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a few that are universal on both sides, DC and Marvel. So you're going to see it to the like I saw it without my wife. I saw it with a buddy who we both went,
Yeah.
And I texted another friend because I had to meet up with him afterwards, and he was like, "Are you getting fucking forced to see that?" And I was like, "Kinda." Like, I'm gonna see it regardless anyway, but I have to see it now because we're gonna do this show.
Right.
But yeah, I knew she didn't want any part of it. I was like, trust me. When I got home, I was like, "You're glad that you didn't see it."
Yeah, she would have walked out.
Yeah, you would have just been bored. It was boring.
I would have liked her one-line answer or one-line review of the film.
Yeah.
Would have been great. All right. Well, I would say go see it. Like Matt said, I think if you're a superhero fan, you're going to go anyway. But I think as a lover of film, if you're a film fan, just go to see it. Maybe you'll walk out really angry, but maybe you'll walk out and you'll enjoy it. Like, I've been surprised at the amount of people that have actually enjoyed it and loved it, like in capital letters. Loved it. I was surprised how many people.
Those people are wrong.
Well, the movie's almost 500 million, man. That's pretty amazing. It'll probably get to $1 billion before we know it. And it's not obviously
P.T. Barnum, a sucker's born every minute.
Right. Obviously.
So,
but people are going back and to see it over and over again for whatever reasons. So,
well, because it's a superhero film and it's dealing with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and setting up Justice League. And you got Luthor and you got Doomsday and you know, it's three great comics coming together for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
They could have. I was hoping it would just be one of the choices.
Yeah.
As opposed to numerous. It was a mess.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, thanks everybody for listening to. This is our most recent recap, and it's been a while. Like I was saying, so hopefully we'll try to make.
It's been like a month and a half, a month or something.
The big ones are going to start coming out now. As
Once we get into summer, exactly. Yeah,
summer.
More than likely for a while it'll be one a week.
Yeah,
over the summer, just because there's going to be so many tent poles that everybody's going to be going to see. So
yeah, exactly. We're going to try to do that, and 1 year anniversary is coming up. So
next week is the 1 year anniversary. So please tune in for that. We're putting together a show. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. It's a lot of work on our end.
It's going to be.
Yeah. I'll probably start tonight. Actually,
we should figure out a game plan for that. All right. Follow us at Top 10 Show on Twitter, at Top 10 Podcast on Instagram. Follow Matt at Matt Nost. Follow me at The Roca Says. Anything else? Depending on when you're listening to this, get your votes in for Thunderdome this week. Right. The cutoff is at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so get them in. And it's only on Facebook, facebook.com/Top 10 Podcast. There you go. Thanks, everybody, for listening.